Akin's anger echoed through the neighborhood, drowning out the laughter of children playing nearby. "You're useless," he shouted at Fatima, his wife, as she stood trembling in the kitchen. Her eyes filled with tears, but he didn't care. He had become a man who took pride in hurting the one he was supposed to love. This was a typical evening in their home, where love was twisted into fear and resentment. Akin lived in the small city of Orica, where he often felt superior to those around him. He wore his arrogance like a badge, looking down on everyone, including Fatima, his wife. He would yell at her for the smallest mistakes, like burning dinner or forgetting to buy groceries. Every time they stepped outside, he made sure she felt small and worthless. His colleagues at work often whispered behind his back when they heard him talk to his wife without love or respect, but Akin brushed it off. After all, he was the man of the house, and he believed that Fatima should be grateful for him. Akin often mocked Fatima for not giving him a child, taunting her that she was of no use to him. "You've destroyed every child in your womb," he'd sneer, his voice laced with venom. Each word pierced Fatima's heart, diminishing her spirit further. She wanted love, warmth, and a family, but all Akin brought was pain. He refused to see the world through any lens but his own. Even when his friends treated their wives with respect and kindness, he learned nothing. To him, a man should dominate, and Fatima was merely there to serve his needs. Friends had tried to reason with him. "Akin, treat your wife with respect," they would say, but he only laughed, his arrogance blinding him to the truth of his actions. Even his parents had approached him, their faces etched with worry. "Son, you must change," they urged, but he dismissed them with a wave of his hand, too proud to see the monster he had become. As weeks turned into months, Akin's behavior grew worse. His verbal and physical assaults grew more frequent. It was painful to watch Fatima's spirit diminish, her laughter replaced by a forced smile. I could see her looking for help in our eyes, but the fear of Akin kept us silent. Behind closed doors, things escalated. Akin began seeing another woman, young, vibrant, and everything Fatima felt she was not. The signs were hard to ignore. Late nights, strange phone calls, and whispers filled the air. When Fatima confronted him, her voice trembling with hurt, he would laugh, his hand striking her as if her pain was nothing. "Mind your business," he would shout, hitting her with his words as he physically struck her down. "Yes, there is another woman outside, and she will give me a child since you can't." Each slap left her feeling more shattered, but through the cracks she found support from her friends who reminded her of her worth. One day, Akin decided to take a loan from the community bank to start a business, believing it would make him wealthier and elevate his status. He used their home as collateral, a decision he made without considering his wife's feelings. The other woman encouraged him, and he blindly trusted her. It was that time of the year, and we were all gathered at a friend's house for our annual get-together, a time meant for joy and celebration. The air was filled with music, laughter, and the smell of delicious food. I could see the excitement on everyone's faces, but I also saw the tension in Fatima's. She wore a beautiful dress, vibrant and bright, yet it did little to mask the sadness in her eyes. Akin arrived late, his mood darkening the festivities as he surveyed the scene, scanning for any sign of weakness. As the evening progressed, Akin watched Fatima laugh with friends. It was a simple moment, yet it seemed to ignite a fire in him. He stormed over, eyes blazing with jealousy. "What's so funny?" he spat, his voice dripping with contempt. The music faltered, and a heavy silence enveloped the crowd. Fatima, startled, tried to explain, "I was just talking, Akin. Please." But her words were cut short as Akin's hand met her face again, the sound echoing through the stunned crowd. Gasps filled the air, and all the guests stood frozen, their hearts heavy with disbelief. It was then that Abina, a close friend, couldn't take it anymore. Abina stepped forward, her voice steady. "Akin, this is not love. You're hurting her." But Akin turned on Abina, his anger radiating. "Who do you think you are?" he shouted. The venom in his words were clearly heard. The crowd shifted uneasily, realizing they were witnesses to something terrible. In that moment, something shifted in Fatima. She realized she could no longer live in fear. She stood tall, her voice finally breaking free. "I won't let you control me anymore," she shouted, tears streaming down her face, her newfound strength igniting something in the room. Friends and family rallied around her, urging her to leave Akin and embrace her worth. The room echoed with support for Fatima, their voices drowning out Akin's threats. In desperation, Akin lashed out, but the crowd pushed him back. "No more!" they shouted, their voices merging into a single cry for justice. With the support of her friends, family, and well-wishers, Fatima blossomed. She moved out of their home, found a beautiful place to stay, and began rediscovering herself. Her parents and friends visited, ensuring she was safe and happy. Meanwhile, Akin's life fell apart. The woman he trusted vanished, taking the loan money and all his valuables. The community bank came knocking, and when he couldn't pay back the loan, they took the house. He was left with nothing but regret. He wandered the streets, his arrogance replaced by desperation. His friends distanced themselves, and the community that once respected him turned their backs. It was then that someone with a good and kind heart proposed to Fatima. She accepted, and soon her life was filled with love and joy. She was blessed with twins, a boy and a girl, bringing laughter and happiness into her home. One day, Akin saw a man speaking to his partner in a disrespectful way. He called the man to order. "Listen," he said, his voice trembling. "I was like you once. Don't make my mistake. Respect her before it's too late." The man stared at Akin, taken aback by his sincerity. As Akin continued to wander, he felt the full weight of his choices. He was hungry, sick, and alone, haunted by the life he had destroyed. One day, while sitting on a curb, he saw Fatima. She was with her new husband, holding hands and laughing. A wave of sadness washed over him, followed by an ache of despair. How had he let it come to this? Fatima saw him, a shadow of the man she once loved. She approached him slowly. "Akin," she said softly, kneeling beside him. He looked up, his eyes filled with shame. "I need help. Please forgive me," he whispered. Fatima's heart ached, but she had moved on. "I forgive you, Akin, but I won't come back to you," she said firmly, drawing a line between the past and her future. Akin nodded, tears streaming down his face. "I'm so sorry," he choked out, knowing he had destroyed everything. Fatima handed him some food and money. "You need to change," she said. "You had everything, but you lost it all because of your choices. I hope you treat the next woman better." With that, she turned and walked away, leaving Akin to reflect on his mistakes. From that day on, Akin wandered the streets, sharing his story with anyone who would listen, warning them about the consequences of cruelty and pride. He watched from a distance as Fatima built a happy life, blessed with love and children. Sitting alone on a park bench, he realized too late that happiness had been within his grasp all along. Moral: treat others with kindness and respect. Cruelty can lead to isolation and regret. It's never too late to change, but sometimes the cost is too high. Thanks for watching. Did you enjoy the video? Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more. Drop a comment and share your thoughts. See you next time.